question to me on the chat.
The slide loaded?
Yes.
All right. So hello everyone. My name is Deepak Koul. I'm the chapter lead for Culture First Pune, and I welcome you all on this fine Friday evening on this very important topic: is second generation gender bias holding women back from leadership roles? So we have wonderful guests Neeraja, Akanksha, and Saumya with me today about this important topic. And again, welcome everyone. So before moving forward, I think it is my duty as the chapter lead to go through the core principles on which this community is built. The first one is foster belonging and acceptance. So once you are part of this community, you should feel that this is a safe space to share your views, ask any kind of questions which you might first feel that they are very silly questions, right? So everyone is welcome. Second point is be willing to reflect and grow. So once you join something with some hard prejudice and preconceived notions, it's very difficult to be part of that learning journey, right? So that's why we expect people to come with an open mind, and once they share their own ideas, hear from others, then they should probably sit back and reflect on those so that they can have that cognitive growth. The third point is having the courage to be vulnerable, right? So people confuse vulnerability with sharing weakness, right? There are separate things. So vulnerability is uh, admitting your mistakes, right? It's not sharing weakness, right? I would not want probably the commander of my country's military to share his weakness, right? That is a leader which I want to be very strong, even if he himself or she himself is feeling very weak in the inside, right? To build some kind of trust. And then the fourth point is putting learning into action. So whatever we learn here, it's very easy to go back and probably forget about it, right? But that would not bring any kind of meaningful change. The purpose of the community is to make the workplace better, and for that to happen, we have to not only learn things, we have to go back to our workplaces and try to see how we can implement those good things that we learn here. And the fifth and final and the most important point is connection inside, business outside. So it is very natural that once we all coming from different backgrounds, different companies, different organizations sit together right now virtually, but maybe in future in physical also, will connect with each other, probably have opportunities for each other, right? What about Akanksha tells Saumya that why don't you join Paytm, right? That can happen outside the, that can happen. It is highly encouraged, but will whatever events we do as a community would be for just one principle of making workplace better. But we were not anyone to forbid people for connecting with each other and growing their professional network and probably sharing opportunities as well. That can always happen. The business part can happen outside, but the core time that we dedicate to this community through events should be for the event purpose only. All right, and with this, uh, please welcome our esteemed panelists, Neeraja Ganesh. She's a leadership consultant with Basil Tree. Akanksha Govil, she is a senior manager with Paytm, and Saumya Singh, uh, she's a software engineer with Red Hat. I'm also part of Red Hat, so we are colleagues. So we have a very diverse panel, as you can see. A, a leadership veteran, one a very senior leadership person, and someone with Saumya. We have someone who has just started her career in the tech. So we'll have perspective from each of them once we move in this session. And before moving to the next slide, so I will, as part of the exercise, I will share a statement with you. And what you all have to do is just go to the chat tab again. Just go to the chat tab and keep the cursor in the chat box. So why I want you to do this kind of haste is I want you to not think about that statement and type your answers as fast as you can. Okay. So next page has a statement that was said by someone to some other person. Okay. And you have to tell me, once you read that statement, you have to tell me uh, who was the person who said it, who was the most likely person to have said, and who was most likely the person who received this statement, right? So the four options are male to male, a male said it to a male, a female said it to a male said it to a female, or a female said it to a male. So you have to choose from MM, FF, MF, and FM in the chat box, right? So don't take too much time. Just read it and see what you think and type that. This is the statement. Quickly. I don't see any answers yet. You're taking too much time. Excellent. Now there are some answers. Okay. So I think we have a lot of answers. So most of you, 90% of you said male to female, right? And because it looks like we as humans, we have this habit of putting people in boxes, right? And then statement was said to me 9 years ago by one of my senior in my earlier organization. Exactly these words. Exactly these words. And I remember these words because they kind of hurt me somewhere deep inside. So now you see that us is slightly biased, right? So second generation gender bias or unconscious bias or stereotypes are not a gender issue. They are part of everyone's cognitive process, be it female, male, or any other gender. So I did it exercise because I want to build a fence around one thing, that in this session going to blame a particular gender for all the problems, right? What we are going to do is in this session, with the help of our esteemed guests, is we are not going to find who is responsible. We are going to find, or we are going to perhaps agree on that are we all responsible for finding the solution? All of us, right? Me, you, and everyone else around us. Are we responsible for finding the solution to this problem, to the stereotyping problem and the unconscious bias problem? And with this, I'll move around the table and let's start with maybe the youngest one first to do their introductions. Saumya, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much for starting the session in such a beautiful and such a wonderful way. So, hello everyone, I'm Saumya. Currently, I'm working as an engineer at Red Hat. I graduated this year in 2021, and I am very much into like coding only, like Android development, Java, and I love building awesome products that can help the society, that can solve some problems in the world. So that's why I participate in so many hackathons as well. So from like India's biggest hackathon, SIH, to state level hackathons, I have been going everywhere, winning somewhere, losing somewhere, gaining a lot of experiences. And yes, I really love exploring new things, and I am very fortunate to be here as one of the panelists among so many awesome women. So thank you so much. And yes, I would like to hand over to the next panelist, maybe Akanksha or Nisha ma'am. Yeah.
So I'm Akanksha. I have close to 18 years of experience in the tech world, in the IT industry. I started my career way back with in the telecom domain with Hughes in the Delhi NCR region, and stayed here with all through multiple companies I've worked with. And my domain is diverse from dev to testing to analysis to and I've come across a lot of you know and have a lot of exposure to kind of situations which probably Deepak is talking about, being, the being client facing. And, there were times earlier on when we used to face very subtle, people we didn't even call out these instances, and it just was to be taken in the stride. So I right now I'm working as a senior manager in Paytm Payments Pack, and my domain primarily is into testing, monitoring, and tools. So that's about me for now. Over to you, Neerja.
Thank you, Akanksha. So let me start by saying the Friday the 13th, at 6 p.m. just, crashed in my house with first I couldn't, get the internet going, and then I couldn't hear Deepak, and then the car outside has been, blaring away. So thankfully, the other two intros, went before me, and now I think there's some calm, and let me just touch wood that it remains till we finish this discussion. In terms of introducing myself, so yes, I am Neeraja Ganesh. I have 25 years of experience in the corporate IT industry, and I quit from corporate in 2017. I worked, my last job was with Capgemini. I was handling IT delivery for banking clients. I started as a programmer. I grew into senior leadership roles, and for most part of my career, I have been the only woman around the table. After the 25 years of corporate, I went and headed a not-for-profit foundation, which was established to bridge the gender gaps in our country. A hugely satisfying role, but then I moved out from there because I realized that I want to do something in the youth space. Why should it be that we get into workplaces and then 5 years down, 10 years down the line, we realize we should have known this much earlier? So I said, let me go and do something in the youth spaces. So I fortunately got an opportunity to work at a college here in Bangalore, National Education Society of Karnataka, which has 17 educational institutions under it. The role was to bridge the industry academia connect, which I believed I could have done a lot with, but it was 2020. So, the challenges with the college trying to get online, the companies trying to figure out other problems, than looking at education, and all of that happened. But I still managed to build a few collaborations, and then I stepped out of that. So today I freelance. I'm a consultant. I do a lot of leadership trainings, behavioral mindset change programs. I speak at a lot of conferences and meetups like this. I write. Because I realized that when I speak, people say, okay, it comes from my experience, and it's really impactful. So I feel that if I can spend even 5 minutes sharing experiences, and if it's impactful, then I must reach larger audiences. So I started writing small articles, and I'm writing a book this year, which is titled You Have Arrived. No glass ceilings, no broken runs, no glass cliffs. Hoping to release it by mid of next month. And I do a lot of voluntary work, with underprivileged girls in schools, as well as another platform called Aspire for Her. There might be some people from Aspire for Her attending this. So anything that I can do to create a positive mindset shift in women especially, and the younger generation, and of course men also. I do that, and that's me, Neeraja Ganesh. And I believe with all of these experiences, I should be able to share something relevant to today's topic.
Thank you, Neeraja. Thank you, everyone. So let's get going. So let's establish a clear definition of what a second generation gender bias is, right? Because I don't want people to confuse second generation gender bias with the explicit bias, right? So explicit bias would be something, let's say I'm a manager. I see that there are two applications of 24-year-old, a male and a female. I'll probably choose male because I don't want a person in my team to go for maternity break because motherhood, right? Who would want motherhood, right? So, so the thing is that is explicit bias. That person is using his conscious mind to discriminate against you based on your gender, right? That is, let's keep that aside. That is devil's work. That keep that aside. The second bias is that we are going to talk about today is very subtle, right? Even the perpetrator does not know that he's biased against you. They normally think that they are probably that statement that I showed you in the last slide. But maybe that person thought that he was being very nice to me, right? At 25-year-old, why don't I let him spend his evening with his loved ones and I take care of the lead meetings, right? They actually don't know when they look at it in retrospect, they feel that probably they might have. So so I want to ask this question to my panelists. So felt have you felt something very strongly? Have you felt strongly about an instance in your careers about someone giving these subtle second generation or unconscious bias remarks to you? Let's start with Akanksha this time.
Oh, yes, I have a few times. And the one which I can really starkly, recollect at this point of time is in one of my organizations, and I had recently joined. And, it's like it's a pretty well-known company. And when I joined the company, so it's an Indian owned, not the current, but there was a company in which I had worked. And over there, the expectation, so generally we follow calendars, right, for all the meetings which we have, probable meetings or probable discussions. So, and I assume that this is going to be the culture there as well. But over a period of time, like probably a week, 2 or 3, I realized that there were so many major decisions which were happening and I was not even party to it. What I got to know in the morning was, okay, this was decided and this is the delivery date. I was like, but I was not even consulted. Since I am heading the QA there, I need to know when is this going to happen. So the prompt reply used to come from the people around me is like, you had left by that time. It was already 5:30 in the evening, and then we just went out to have a chai break, and we just discussed it, and we arrived at it. I was like, okay, but why didn't you send a formal invite that this has to be discussed? But there was nothing big deal about it. It's not even like we talked to you in the morning, and over a period of time, I realized that it is not just me, it's the mindset of the people around them. Like they will meet over. And what I could not understand is why would they meet for such major decisions like planning over chai and smoke, right? Why can't it happen in a more organized manner? Are they genuinely not aware of it? The challenge which I faced was when I tried to call it out again and again and again, I was I was cornered, and I was being, I got this feedback from a lot of unofficial feedback that I am a person who does not believe in teamwork and wants to bring a structure to something which is not even needed. Like things are already free flowing and it's all working fine. Why do we need to do this? Why do we need an email for this? Why do we need a structure on it? So I am not, I'm more disruptive for the timelines than I am constructive for that. So that is one of the things, which is starkly calling out to me right now in terms of that. And the challenge is when you even call it out, no one is ready to understand your perspective on it, right? Like I'm saying that why do we need to send a release at 1 a.m. at night? Why can't we send it a little earlier in the day, right? We can plan our things better that we reach that timelines, or maybe we can do it at another time. But then all of that is like, oh, just because you are a woman and you need to get back home means that we need to change the way the things are working in our company. So yeah, that's one of my instances I can think of right now.
Thank you, Akanksha. Neeraja?
Sure. So let me narrate this one. So when I was just getting into team leadership roles, and everyone in the organization said I have high potential for leadership, and high potential talent is given special grooming. So there was a concept of assessment centers and development centers. So assessment centers are when you usually put through certain simulations to see how you react, respond, and then based on that, you are put into a development center to say, okay, these are your areas of development. So we didn't have assessment centers. We just had a 360-degree feedback, which is, for those of you who may not know, the person, like I would nominate 5 peers, 5 superiors, 5 subordinates, and 5 stakeholders and get a 360-degree feedback. So the feedback would be anonymous. I wouldn't know who gave what, but I have nominated these 20 people. So the feedback came, and the feedback, one of the things which kind of just hit me was, it said, Neeraja is very aggressive. And I just couldn't figure out, I didn't think of myself as aggressive. New leader, right? Just stepping into leadership. So from where is this coming? So I thought, okay, let me go and speak to some of these people to find out, let them be open and tell me why am I considered aggressive. And I went to some of them and all of them denied, saying that, no, we didn't give you this feedback. Now, this used to bother me a lot. And when I started going into meetings, this used to weigh on me. And so I quietened down. And it was quite, people observed it. I said, why are you not speaking up? I mean, you're not this kind always, right? But I didn't know what to do. Speak up and you are called aggressive. And you don't speak up, then you're called, okay, you're not talking. So I went to the business unit head. So I was a very junior person. I had nothing to do directly with the business unit head, but I decided to walk up to him and said, I have this feedback, what should I do? He said, just don't care about it. Okay. He was, and I think continues to be, a very aggressive leader. Okay, all of us have seen that. So he will take decisions based on, what he thinks is the right thing. Very, very radical decisions. Over a period of time, we'll see, sense in that. He's a visionary. And so at that point in time, we wouldn't have realized, why. But he would just go about doing it. So he said, fine. I mean, if people think you're aggressive, let it be. Why should you bother about it? I said, no, it matters to me. He said, see, if you're going to change yourselves, you are going to limit yourselves, which I could already see, right? I was not speaking up in meetings and things like that. So he said, just be aware that a certain section of the table, the room, thinks you are aggressive. And so just do, a couple of things extra, like go around the table once more, asking for everyone's input to our decision making, and be very articulate about why you took this decision, regardless of 2 people not really going with what you thought, but that's about it, right? Now, I just continue this. So we went into the development center. There was this lady who was running the development center, and I said, because this was really bothering me, so I told her, I don't know how to handle this. Because first, if you tell me this is the reason, then I'll fix it. But I don't know why I'm being called aggressive. And she told me this. She said, before the development center happened, she had come one day to address all of us who were going into that, to tell us how this whole process would be. And she said, I found you intimidating. So this is a woman. Okay, she's telling me she found me intimidating. I said, what about me? Because I remember in that meeting, I had not spoken at all. Because I don't usually speak just for the sake of it. All questions were asked by others and she had answered it. So there was no question left for me to ask. So I was a very quiet person in that meeting. So I said, why? And she said, Neeraja, I think because you were the only woman there. So whether I like it or not, my eyes go to you. So if a woman herself, keeps looking at another woman when, you're in the minority, then the men obviously will probably, look at her and dissect that, every move of hers, what she says, how she says, what she's wearing. So she said, maybe something to do with your body language. Maybe everybody else had the same body language, spoke the same way. But because you're a woman, you're in the minority, you will be looked at like that. And so she told me how my body language should be and what I should say and not say and all of that. So that's, I think, Deepak, and to everyone else, second generation gender bias, because as a woman, in this case, we are talking about women, we have to be aware of these and add an additional element to whatever else we kind of, have, because of which we have a seat at the table. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Excellent point, Neeraja. And also draws everyone's focus on why every feedback is not constructive and helpful, right? So there has to be your own, or maybe some well-wishers filter on what feedback you get and work on. How about you, Saumya?
Yes. So coming to me, I have mostly contributed to open source project. I have worked with a lot of open source organizations, and the best thing there is, literally, I have never experienced any kind of discrimination between boys, girls, men, or women. They are open to all kind of contribution. It can be from anyone. Like since I was in first year of university, I like jumped into the tech side. I was mostly doing the open source contribution or sometime freelancing work. With like, to me, it has not happened that I face that I am being neglected or something. But yes, if you talk about my university, so in our school days there were like 50 on 50 ratio for girls and boys. But when it comes to the engineering college, when I talk about my university, the ratio is not at all good. It was 4 girls in a class of 62. So that was like, I was really shocked when I took the admission. Like only 4 girls in my like CS department. Okay, so like that's fine. Okay, we adjusted to it. We got like, we thought, okay, it's normal in India. Like women are not very much, you know, willing to maybe get into tech, or maybe we know what the conditions are. Like those are other things. Like they are clear, discrimination between boys and girls. Many families don't want their girl child to go for higher education, engineering, and all. So in one day, like we were having our lectures, and there was a subject which was in CS also. There are subjects related to mechanics, etc. Right? So there was one a very experienced, very old professor. We used to call him Tiwari sir. So he was there. The college timing was from 9 to 5, and somehow he missed his lecture, which was supposed to be at around 2. So he said that, okay, I have to take extra class because I have to cover up the syllabus before the exams. So he said, I will take extra class for about 2 hours, like 5 to 7 something. And he said very sweetly that all of you, Saumya and like all 3 girls were there, awesome, Gitika, we all were there, 4 girls were there. He said that I feel that you all should leave for home because it will be really very late, like 7, it will be late. So like, though he said it very sweetly, but that was something which I really didn't like, because I also want to study. And like yesterday only the overall results of the university came, and I got the first rank, and second is also another girl. So I mean, we also want to study, and that topic was important for like from examination point of view, right? And those like questions which he used to share, they were always very important. We were really not willing to miss, and we were not very much scared about when will we reach, because okay, there was a college bus, and like that was safe. I mean, we were not willing to like leave the class, but just because he said it and so sweetly, so we had to leave, and we had to miss the class. So that is something which is like, which I faced in my college. And yeah, like he didn't did that knowingly, but it is like maybe an example of second generation gender bias.
Right, right. It absolutely is, yes. And we cannot blame the person, right? So it's because it is, we have grown with this worldview, right?
Exactly.
Both men and women and everyone, we have grown with this worldview, and we have to change the worldview, not the people, right? The people will automatically change once the worldview gets changed. All right. So let's move about our next question, right? So before starting the next question, so I followed this Urdu poet who unfortunately passed away last year, Rahat Indori. So there is a Rahat Indori sher, a couplet which goes like this: रिवायतों की सफ़ेद तोड़ के बढ़ो वरना जो तुमसे आगे हैं जगह नहीं देंगे. And that translates into break the cues of tradition, or the people in front of you will never let you pass. So I don't know what context, because I'm not a great poetry person, right? But I don't know in what context Rahat Indori sir said this couplet, but I take it in very gender specific context, right? So there is a traditional box of leadership. A leader should be aggressive, autocratic, someone who takes the bull by horn, right? That is our, and that is why. And then there is a traditional box of view for women. Women should be caring and soft spoken and all of that, right? And automatically, what we do as humans is we categorize these things, and we also make sure that we don't leave any kind of intersection between those boxes, right? Those boxes should be as separate as they are for ease of decision making, right? So do you think, my next question is, do you think that the leadership definition that we currently have needs to change or maybe expand? Let's start with Nirja first now.
Yeah, I mean, so the traditional thought process of being an aggressive one, and he will never be called aggressive, right?
Right.
Whatever he does is the right thing, but that's leadership. But if a woman does that, then it's aggressive, and if she doesn't do it, then yeah, she's not fit for the job. So that's always been a tussle. And over a period of time, we've realized that people talk so much about emotional intelligence these days. They talk about EQ as a very important aspect of leadership. Uh, and again, I might be stereotyping it, but it's usually said that women probably have a larger EQ than men. Maybe not. I mean, it's also stereotypes, but that's how it's kind of said. And if today we are talking about EQ being a very big component in the way you deal with situations and you lead organizations, then I think even a male has to kind of change. I'm not saying it has to be aggressive, assertive, passive. I think it is very situational. One needs to kind of look at the situation and then take decisions. I think COVID has taught us something very, very, different, right? How did leaders take decisions the minute the pandemic hit us? We have heard of stories of people being asked to leave, people being asked to take a few months of leave till things become better, and salary cuts and all of that. Uh, I think if a leader, and I think one of the case studies that had come last year in March, April was Airbnb. The CEO of Airbnb, the letter that he sent out to all his employees because he had to drastically cut the number of staff. But the way he kind of wrote that letter and then he kind of addressed some of the staff over a virtual conference showed the emotional side of leadership. People understood and realized why this was happening and would still be able to kind of accept that decision and would still in some ways be loyal to that leader if things get better and there was an opportunity, they may still go and work with Airbnb. So I think leadership is not about just being aggressive. There are many other facets that have come about today when we talk about a leader. There is something called a servant leadership. At the end of the day, I think the outcomes matter. If you are able to articulate the outcome in such a manner that the rest of the team is able to understand, and hence you kind of tell them, this is the reason I'm taking these decisions, doesn't matter man or woman, and you're able to be empathetic towards the needs of your team members, I think a leader will be successful. So gender shouldn't play a part. It's just that certain qualities have been in the past attributed to a particular gender. But today, I think leadership has become more neutral, is my take on that.
Right. Akanksha, what do you think?
Agree with what Neeraja is saying in that perspective, that leadership is just not about being aggressive. It is, when you talk about a company or when you talk about it's about the teamwork. No one can accomplish anything alone, right? And that's why you have teams. How would you create that bonding in the team? How would you take the team together to reach a goal? Is what I would feel is the primary job of a leader, to have that confidence in your vision, in your mission, and even in you as a person, right? That it's not, it's like you stand by your people in times of, in thick and thin, and that is what makes a great leader. It doesn't matter it is a male or a female. But what is happening and what I feel is like we have very few and very selected few women leaders currently which can be followed, or which whose footsteps, or which have set a particular way which says that if I talk about, suppose, like if I think about the leaders, or in my organization any women leaders which I probably want to follow the footsteps of, I don't have that many examples. I At times I struggle with what is the way, you know and I have struggled with situations where I've realized that I am actually the only woman at the table, and I feel left out. I feel that I don't know how to process this situation the way they are, the the bond is between the males. I feel left out. It's easy for them, but I don't. I need to find. Yes, you can stand on your own and you can try to bond all of that, but there are times when you need some sense of what should I call it? Some sense of way forward, like okay, this probably, like what Nija was saying, that she didn't know that she was intimidated, right? So she found out from people, and she tried to find out answers, but you need to have that people to understand. So when I was leaving my previous organization, and I was on my notice period, and it was like a month's notice period, and then all my people get to know, and that was the time I realized that, oh my god, what a responsibility I carry on myself, because there was a group of, like, every other day there used to be 2 or 3 or 4 women who used to come up to me and tell me that, why are you leaving? Okay, we look up to you, the way you handle yourself in the meetings, we look up to you to support us if we are not, we are left out in the meetings, or if we are facing some issues. We know that you will stand by us and you will do the right thing, be it male or a female, it doesn't matter. So then I realized that, oh my God, I am looking at someone else, but there are people who are looking up to me for all of that. So it is a very big responsibility to carry, that how you carry yourself, how do you progress in your career, what decisions you make, like, even to choose to work after so long, in spite of everything and all the challenges, inspiration to a lot of people which we don't know, you know. So for me, leadership is picking up the right things from people around you, and then grooming yourself based on that, so that you can be a better person, a better leader, and you can be that person which probably, the others can look up to in the time when when they're struggling, or they don't know what to go, I mean, like, do about it. So yeah.
Great point, Akanksha. Soumya, what about you? Do you think the leadership definition, the current leadership
Yes.
definition and its attributes need to change?
Yes, definitely. I would like to add my points as well, and I'm very much like very much agree to what Akanksha, what Neeraja said. So, like to me, really, leadership is not only about being aggressive, being bold. Leadership is about a lot more, and leadership should never be attached to a gender. It should never be only like males can be leader or women can be leader. Anyone who know how to manage a team, who know how to get the outcome in the best way, in the way so that his or her team is also at very ease. They are also not very much, some people are there who are very harsh to their team. That is not leadership. You should know how to manage your team in an effective manner. At the same time, you should be able to get the goal which you have to. So that is like the one who knows how to balance both the things, the one like who is able to take both the things in the same like with like in a same way. So that is a good leader in my point of view. And like I was leading one of the projects of Girls Script Foundation as well. So like under me there were few teams working. A marketing team was there, content team was there, and a team of mentor was there. From that experience, like Nirja was saying about the EQ thing, like people say that female or women have like they are more emotional, or there is a stereotype. And let's suppose if that is true, let's let's say that women are more emotional than men, then that is not a weakness at all. It's okay to be emotional. It's completely okay if you understand emotions of others, if you understand emotion of your team members. It doesn't mean that you are weak. In my opinion, being a human, it's very normal to be emotional, and that should not be taken as a weakness. That is our strength. And if people think that women cannot be leader, or if they don't want to give opportunity to women for the leadership position, then somewhere I strongly feel that they are not utilizing they are not utilizing that potential. There is too much potential in women. I feel like being a woman and like being surrounded by so many awesome women around me, I feel there is nothing which women can't do and which men can't do. I mean, we are human beings, we have got so much knowledge, we have all the things, we have all the facilities, so we can really do everything. And leadership should definitely not be confined to like few words. It's a broad word, it's a large word. And yes, that's what I feel about it.
Amazing. I could really feel Soumya's passion, right, when she was speaking. Excellent point, Soumya. So
Thank you.
there is one cartoonist on Twitter. So she had posted this cartoon where two women are sitting back each other in an office setting, right? So one of them asks, "What is difference between aggressive and assertive?" The other one says, "It's the gender." So this is the situation right now with the leadership attributes that we have right now. All right, a quick audience check. Can any one of you probably go to chat box and say if you are able to hear us? Just write yes or no. Okay, thank you, Prabhadevi. Thank you, Banisha. All right. So we are at 6:48. Let's take last 2 minutes to go through the tips, and then we'll open the forum for questions. In the meantime, you can type your questions. If you want your question to be addressed to a particular esteemed guest, write their name and colon and your question. So I'll read. I'm not presenting any slides, Panisha, right now. So this is an open forum right now. So you can ask your questions. I'll read them to the guests and let's hear from them. Okay, last roundtable about tips. Let's start with Soumya first. Soumya, what are your tips to young aspiring women?
Sure. So as a woman, I feel we all are very strong. We have all the capabilities. Don't listen to anyone if someone say that you can't do anything. Just believe in yourself. You have a lot of potential inside you. Believe in yourself and go ahead, do that. You can do everything. So yes, keep working for your goals. The like life is so small, and your dreams are so important, so big. So don't give up. Just go ahead and yes, give your best wherever you go. Yeah.
Excellent. Nirja?
So yeah, I think one of the things that I would say is do not minimalize yourselves. There will be the imposter syndrome, which will keep telling you you're not good enough. Just ask the question to the imposter, what's the worst that can happen? And go ahead and do what you want to do, as Soumya said. Creating your brand is very, very important. And I tell that storytelling is a great tool to kind of create your brand, because we women sometimes shy away from, talking about our own achievements. Focus on your strengths. All of us always want to, kind of improve on our weaknesses. Just forget them. Focus on your strengths, because that will take you to the, next height. Get out of your comfort zone. That's also another thing. We tend to kind of be happy in a particular position, and we feel very good when the whole world is coming to us saying, oh, if you're not there, then, things cannot move in this organization, in this team. But get out of your comfort zone, because learning is very important. Keep moving your own goalpost. And finally, just call out the biases. And I'll tell you a quick story on, what happened to me. So I was at this client place, newly appointed. And basically, we had to kind of prove that the services organization that I was representing, we could actually take on the entire delivery capability. So we were working within the client organization to prove that, and then it would be, outsourced completely to us as a service provider. So I was handling it, but I had a mixed team. I had a client team also, and I had my own team from my services organization. And there was the first release that went out. There was a production incident that happened, and actually before the release went out, the person from our team, the services team, used to keep asking the business analyst about a particular thing. Have you checked this? Have you checked this? Have you checked this? And she would always say, yes, I have done it. I have kind of worked out everything and it's perfectly fine. In fact, she sent it in email also. But it was that thing which had not been checked, and the whole release, faltered. So I asked the question in terms of why did that happen, and that the girl didn't like it. Okay, because I was a new leader, and the girl didn't like it that I was asking why. And she actually ran away. So she went home and she called her manager, who was from the client organization, saying that I'm not going to come back and work for this woman because she asked me why this happened. So this guy never liked me because I'm a woman, maybe I come from a services company, I was a contractor in some ways, and he had to report to me. Whatever the reason, he didn't like me. So what he did was he went and complained about me to someone senior. That senior person called me into a room. He was the one who had interviewed me before I could get onto this role, right? And he told me this. He said, Neeraja, do you know why we hired you? Because you're a woman. And because you're a woman, we thought you would be very motherly. And you asked that girl these questions in a very stern manner. It was not right. So I told him that next month I'll have to present to the steering committee the release statistics, the metrics. I'll have to say there was a production incident. So when I say there is a production incident, will you be fatherly and pardon me? So I think please call out. It is important for people to know that there is a bias that is happening. That's all I will say.
Thank you, Neeraja. Akanksha, what is your tip?
My tip is I would just call it like that. The way I've been telling a lot of peers and people in my company and women specifically, don't be the one to sacrifice the first, right? If something bad happens at home or something, like there's a challenge which probably makes you pushes to a situation wherein, people are expecting you to stop working or doing something like that. Be creative. Think of ways. Don't be the first one to say that, okay, I will quit. That situation, even because the day you quit, you can't quit the same day. There's still a notice period to be served. Okay. Right. So assume in your head that there is a notice period which you're serving, right? And work out your life in a way with possible every solution you can think of, because quitting is not an option. Okay. Calling out gender bias, it'll be at times very upfront, it'll be very hidden, it'll be everything, but it is underlying your strength, which is very important. Build your own, support system, which is important for you to survive all the times. Going forward, as there would be challenges in life, you might get married, you might not get married, you might have kids, you might not have kids, but at the end of it, you need your support system. It is your strength, but it is your support system also, which keeps you going in the times when it sounds like really the end of the world. Okay, so that's my tip for anyone who is getting or taking up on life, that you need a support system, you need the strength within you, and you need to stand up and like Neeraja said, think out of the box. It is not possible that what is just looking in front of you is the only solution possible. There could be other solutions possible too. Have the courage to explore them before you call quits on everything. That's the only thing I would like to say.
Thank you, Akanksha. We have started getting questions in the chat. So there is a question for Neeraja. How did you handle a situation with a leader having a blind spot or unconscious bias, not letting deserving lady in the team to promote or progress?
I don't. I won't necessarily say that it is only a lady. Sometimes the biases could have been, for age, biases could have been about the role also. So I remember I was in a team which was very, very technically inclined, high on technology. And it was an integration team, right? So those of you who understand the IT side of things, you know that systems have to be integrated. So you will have all those, there's MQ, and there are whole kinds of technology that integrates these two systems. So heavy technology intensive team. But then to do the project, you need project managers also. So I was heading the team of project managers, and I was given the responsibility of being extremely neutral. I would kind of pull out these technical guys into the team based on the project requirement and deliver it. So I would be the bad person. I would be calling out, why is there this an error? I'm sure QA people will understand that. You're calling out, why is this issue? Why wasn't it checked in requirements, and etc. etc. So I was the hated person, and my team was the hated person. But when it came to performance appraisal, the bell curve is always there, and you have to force fit at times. So, despite all the ammunition that I had given to my boss, who had to go and further represent eight, when he had to pull out a couple of people down, he pulled it from my team, and he came and told me that I can afford to lose project managers. I can't afford to lose those technologists because it's very difficult for me to find them. So that's also a bias, right? So it's not gender one, but these are all the biases that you have to fight it out. And I fought it out to the nail. And that's the thing, right? I always have the mantra, what's the worst that can happen? The worst, probably I lose my job, right? But in the role that I am, it is my responsibility to ensure that my people get what they deserve. And I will find my way of, kind of protecting myself. That much of confidence I have. So I called it out. I went to the highest levels in the organization with proof of everything, and it was corrected. It was corrected at that time for my team. It was once corrected for me because I was, put into the ranking of 4, which means non-performance, and it was given by the testing head of the organization. He was like the king in the organization, and I called that out. Right? He didn't think I would call it out, and the people didn't think it will get corrected, because if he has given it, then yeah, that's going to stay as is. Some people were asking me, why do you want to pick up a fight with him? Because you have to be in the organization. But I got a neutral jury out. I had all. So yeah, this is important. Yeah, keep all the documents safe. If you have to prove a point, every conversation has to be recorded on email to say, hey, as we discussed, meeting invites, everything has to be. So documentation is very, very important, to kind of, prove, as well as to kind of rescue yourselves from a situation if you are ever in a situation. And I got my rating back, I got my bonus, and I got my salary. So that's the thing. I think calling it out is important. Have all your ammunition in place, have all the data in place, have the evidence in place, and go ahead and speak it out, is what I would say.
Thank you, Neeraja. One more question for Banisha. Uh, can you allow me to take that? So she says, because I have answered it to someone very recently. So Banisha asks, how do you differentiate a leader and a mentor? So Banisha, I'll give you an example. Let's say it's a weekend, uh, and you are thinking about your evening plans, right? And you decide that you will go to Phoenix Mall at 5, and you start leaving your home at 4:45, and you don't know, you are probably new to the city, and then you'll ask someone for a direction to the Phoenix Mall, maybe Google, or maybe some person walking on the street, right? That person is the mentor. You have decided what to do, but now you are asking for directions, and suddenly you get a WhatsApp message from someone that some other person is going to park to feed the ducks, but you like that person so much that you'll drop your plan going to mall and go to the park to feed the ducks, right? That is leadership. Someone without any intervention, uh, changing your plans to do what you were planning to do, right? You follow them, right? It can happen anywhere, right? Religion, politics, and teams as well. You follow your leaders. You automatically think that they have that integrity, ability, and benevolence to do the right thing and give back to people without thinking of themselves. So anyone wants to add to my example for Banisha?
Yeah, I feel like okay, Akanksha, you want to go ahead?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted to add one point that like when I was, let's say, I always am very much willing to mentor my juniors. Let's say when I was in third year, so I used to guide second year, first year student about like basic data structure algorithm, basic coding, etc. So the difference, and like I have like the experience of leading a small group of team as well. So from both the experiences, what I feel is a mentor, the main difference between a leader and a mentor is that mentor can become a very a very close, like mentor can be very close to his or her students or juniors, whosoever he or she is mentoring. A leader may or may not, because a leader is someone who has to lead the team. He may or may not be very much close to the team members, but a mentor is a person to whom you can also ask anything, and a mentor is like more close to you as compared to a leader. Like that's what I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were saying
Akanksha, you
something.
wanted to add?
Saying that if you're leaving a job and if you want to join, it's a very stark example. If you want to join a new firm, you probably might not join a firm where your mentor is going to be, but you might join a firm where your leader, which you really respected and you believed in, and knows that if that person is going to be there to lead that particular organization or team, and that is the kind of person you would like to follow, that would be a leader. Mentors come uh, mentors come and they support you in ways which define you, and they're there for you. But leader is someone you want to follow. That's what you said, Deepak. So I'm just giving an example that you would follow a leader to a new company, but probably not a mentor to a new company.
Right. Thank you, Akanksha, Saumya. Okay. Banisha has one more question. Do you think women are more active as mentors rather than leaders? In the traditional mold, is it the scenario right now in the industry?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of women mentors. Maybe because I'm part of many women's platforms. Maybe that could be a reason. And there was also someone who asked a question: why is it there are women mentors on this platform? Why can't you have male mentors? So there isn't a problem having any gender as a mentor for you. But what also happens when you kind of look up to someone as a mentor and you go to that person is that you sometimes also look up at that person as a role model, and it is very, very important for each of us to see a role model. So here in this case, when we are talking about young girls, or growing women, they need to find someone who they can look up to as a role model. And hence it is good to see someone as a woman leader as well as a woman who's mentoring you. While all perspectives should be taken when you are going to a mentor, I think seeing a lady as a mentor gives you those experiences that the woman has gone through. Like, so I said something which will say, okay, I'm also going through this, the other woman also thinks I'm going through this, so you dealt with it in this particular manner, so I think I will be able to deal with it. I don't know how many men may be able to kind of empathize and put themselves in that shoes, unless their spouses or their daughters or someone is going through that. So that's all I'll say. But I am seeing a lot of women mentors. We are not seeing that many women leaders. We should, but maybe it's also, as I said, is because I'm part of too many women platforms.
Thank you,
Could it
Nitya.
be my just take on is, as you said, Deepak, that it's about vulnerability as well, right? Initially, you said in the
Yeah, yeah.
so could it be a perception that women are being more? I mean, women are generally more vulnerable, so the people gravitate, and their EQ being higher, people gravitate towards even male and female,
Mhm.
irrespective of the gender, for that empathy, which probably they might lack from a male leader. Even if he feels empathetic, he might
Mhm.
not want to spoil his image, of the
Right.
aggressor leader, and not be vulnerable to what the other person is saying. So that probably could be one of the reasons we perceive that women are more. I mean, we find more mentors in women than
Yeah,
in.
yeah. Maybe people find some kind of safe space around women, right? than they would find with a male mentor or yeah, exactly.
It just also brings about one quick story that I know we are already 6 minutes past the time. So when I was, heading a particular team, and I had only one woman, in my direct reports, and there were other five men. The problem with this team was that this team used to live in a cocoon in this huge organization. They did fantastic things, but they did not want to kind of get out and gel with the rest of the organization. The rest of the organization didn't care about this small team and bring them, in onto main path. So my job was to, kind of integrate this team with the rest of the organization. So I used to see whatever kinds of opportunities that I could give to my team, leads and the team members in the large organization space. So this lady that used to report to me, fantastic technically, but the time when she would come in was really a big question mark. She had a young child, but every day would be a different time. So I'm not saying that I want you to I won't be flexible, but then I need to know every day at least if
Right.
9 o'clock is the start time, you come at 10, that's fine. So I know that 10 I can find you, right? So it was nothing like that. Every day would be whatever time. So I had given her this opportunity to actually be the MC at a town hall where the big shots would be there. It's a good opportunity because you will showcase what you bring to the table. And that morning, she didn't turn up. 2 o'clock to the town hall. She came by 12. So I was also nervous because I was putting my head out, right, by giving
Right, right, right.
to this person. So till 12, because I didn't see at 11, 11:30, I sent her an email saying, this is not acceptable. So she came at 12, she saw the email, she was unhappy, but anyway, we did the town hall. Evening, she came to me and she said, Neeraja, it was not expected of you because you are a woman and you need to understand that when you have a young baby at home, things will be like this. So that's another thing that happens. People say queen bee syndrome, that women leaders don't, look after women, direct reportees well and things like that. I would also like to tell the women that when you are wanting responsibility, when you want to be on equal and better than the men, you have to kind of go for it. Don't give these reasons and excuses, right? Your going in position cannot be, I'm a woman, so do
Right.
something extra special for me. You go in, you do whatever is needed to be done, like Saumya is doing. And then when there is a need, the organization will do something for you. You can always, ask for flexibility at that point in time. But your going in position should not be, I'm a woman and hence. So I was really kind of, I also had a, young baby, but I figured my way out, right? So if you want to work, you have to figure things out at home also. As Akanksha said, build that support system. It's most important. So yeah, I don't know whether I answered the mentor leader question, but this just came to my mind at that point in time.
Excellent, excellent.
There's another thing I want to call out that, that it's not just the gender bias against women, right? So like I have been a person who has always had men reporting to me, okay? And there have been people who've been like one woman in the team and rest all are men or something like that. So people ask that how is it to work for a woman, and they think that you will, it's very tough for men to take orders kind of a thing from a woman. So, but you need to understand something that ultimately we all are humans, right?
Right.
So if we leave aside this gender fight, as in who's a man and who's a woman, and just be treated as people, like you're working. No one is working for me as an individual. I am just there. I'm also employed with this company, and so as are you employed with this company. I am in this position because of something which people think I have extra, or maybe I am in that ladder or whatever. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do right by you just because you're a male or I'm a woman. So having that trust in you, your team lead is very important. So and I would call out to all the women as well, that just because you have a male and a female, don't gravitate naturally towards a female because you find it more comforting, and they will not, you think that she will not cross question you, like Neeraja said, that that kind of a thing. Don't do it even in the reverse. Don't make a bias against a male just because it's like something like, if there's a maternity and you expect the women to go for 6 weeks, 6 months or whatever, but if there's a male in your team who wants to ask for an extended paternity for another week, don't say that, why do you need it, right? there could be situation at home which you might not be aware of. So don't build that bias in your head that just because that person is a male should be able to do all of that, whereas that you give that leverage to a woman. So that's the only thing I would like to add.
Thank you. Great point, Neeraja and Akanksha. All right, we are 11 minutes above time, and I noted down. I have this habit of noting down things, right? So I noted down the tips. So the first thing is calling out biases, right? If you ever feel uh, there is a slight unconscious bias going against you, call it out, right? Because as I said, the perpetrator does not know that he is indulging in a bias, right? When you call it out, they reflect on it, and then they probably their worldview changes in a way. The second point was don't be the one to sacrifice. I think Akanksha made this point, right? Don't be the one to make a sacrifice. Work out things at your home and don't let it go, right? Go for it. And then Soumya said, you can do anything. Believe in yourself, right? And one thing which I remember was from Neeraja's comment, don't let vague feedback work on you, right? Ask for explicit instances, ask for people to break down that feedback into when did they feel that kind of thing, right? If someone is calling you aggressive, ask for instances. Don't take it as a literal aggressive meaning and start working on it, right? That's a bad thing. All right, so I hope we had good lessons for everyone attending this session, and I would like to thank all the participants and Soumya, Neeraja, Akanksha, everyone for spending this wonderful hour with us. And I hope to see you probably again in one more event. And if anyone in the attendee list is interested in being part of the panelists for any of the next event, please join our LinkedIn group. So we will take this discussion from this 1 hour session to that LinkedIn group, and we can continue the dialogue for making that positive change, right?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All
Thank
right.
you,
Thank you,
Deepak.
everyone. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Yeah.
Saumya. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Neeraja.
everyone.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
weekend.
Akanksha,
Bye
Neeraja,
bye.
Deepak, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.